Welcome, art lovers, to the art vlog with me, George Dopamine. Today it is hot in the city, and I want to take you to one of the hottest tickets on the London art scene this summer, in the Black Fantastic at the Hayward Gallery on the South Bank, which I'm just heading to now. It promises to bring together 11 artists from the African diaspora, some of them American, some of them British, some of them African, who are united by their use of fantasy, fiction, Afrofuturism to combat racial injustice and inequality. I'm really excited about this show because of the 11 artists. Some of them mean a huge amount to me. Artists like Ofili, who I've been loved since the 1990s. Hew Locke, who's got that fantastic display currently showing at Tate Britain. And Cara Walker, who's a stellar name, who obviously had a turbine hall installation, Fons Americanus. You might remember that big white fountain, which was quite dark when you looked into it. But there are also an artist like Nick Cave, who I'm very much aware of, but he's an American artist, but have not really had the pleasure of seeing much of their work because it just hasn't been on show in Britain. And then there are some artists who I don't know much about at all. This show is on until the 18th of September. It is £13.50 to get in. And so I can't wait to bring you, come with me as we step in the Black Fantastic and explore what promises to be a really interesting and beautiful show. I must commend the catalogue that comes with this show. I have a bit of an ambivalent relationship with catalogues, but this one takes you well beyond the essence of the show itself and explains that the Black Fantastic is very much linked to Toni Morrison's desire to strike out for new territory. And from this desire to strike out for new territory, the Black Fantastic is a place of speculation where artists draw from history and myth to conjure up, according to the catalogue, new visions of culture and identity. My jaw dropped as I was confronted with the first work, the sculptural piece by the artist Nick Cave called Chain Reaction, which sees the artist's arms cast in resin interlinked, providing an incredibly moving sculpture. It's up to you how you read this, as a sculpture of unity or defiance or brother and sisterhood, but it packs an incredibly powerful punch and is a really important start to the show. Surrounding Chain Reaction are 4 of Cave's legendary sound suits. Started in 1988 in response to Rodney King's horrendous beating by police in Los Angeles, Cave has produced 500 of these, and their intention is to transform the body of the wearer into something other than themselves, to defy racial caricature. And they're called sound suits after the sound they make when the wearer puts them on and walks around in them, because they're made from different materials. As well as being potently symbolic, they're incredibly intricate. You need to see these, circle them, stare in to appreciate their stunning beauty. I'd never seen them in the flesh, but had read loads about them, so it's really special to see 4 of these works here using a multitude of different materials. This spectacular sound suit was the most recent and produced in memory of the murder of George Floyd. The artist Rashaad Newsome explores the intersection between sexuality and race. There's a compelling video piece called Stop Playing in My Face featuring trans activist and choreographer Leomi Maldonado. But the highlight for me is a life-size sculpture, Anzista, because it fuses African fashions with drag ballroom, and the head was carved from African mahogany by a Ghanaian master craftsman. It was another work to sort of circle around and explore from many different angles. A truly revelatory but also disturbing artist who I'd not seen work from before was Sedrick Chisom. The paintings on show here are part of a series of works which portray a dystopian future in which people of colour have left the earth.
All that's left is two competing groups of white people, both of whom are suffering from a disease which alters the pigmentation of their skin. As they fight to assert a superior version of whiteness against each other, the earth burns and the paintings are almost hallucinogenic in quality. The works refer to how whiteness has been used as a tool by which to compare to others. And I have to say, I was drawn in by this work. I was already familiar with the work of Hew Locke, and I loved his ambassadors, which you can see here. Locke grew up in Guyana, and a bit like Cave sound suits, the intricacy and beauty of these people featuring buttons and other materials was stunning, but the work also led to questions. Who are the ambassadors? Are they lords, warlords, vigilantes? The guns and the details on them made me think deeply. I actually preferred these works, I think, to the procession piece at Tate Britain, which lots of you will have seen in the main sort of central gallery there. Just look at the details. These are beautiful pieces which must have taken hours and hours of labour to produce. I loved Wangechi Mutu's film piece, The End of Eating Everything, which took at its subject nothing more than the end of planet Earth itself and featured the singer Santigold. This piece as well, the Screamer Island Dreamer, draws on East African mythology about a creature vicious creature that lived under the sea and dragged men from their fishing boats. Sculptural work was also really powerful, and Mutu to me was a very interesting and inspirational artist whose work I want to see more of. Along with Mutu, another absolute highlight was discovering for the first time in my case the fantastic work of artist Lina Viktor. Her photography referenced the troubled, complex history of Liberia, and as you can see from some of these pieces, glittered with gold. The title of some of the work, A Haven, a Hell, a Dream Deferred, references the hope of Liberia as a place for freed American slaves and the reality of this caste system which played out in Liberia as it descended into quite a chaotic, at times troubled history. Tabita Rezaire is represented by this immersive pyramid, ultra wet recapitulation, which projects imagined images of Africa onto a pyramid and asks you to circle round and round, exploring these as she criticises Western views of Africa, especially Western stereotypes. It was an interesting piece. Up at the top of the gallery, I was introduced to artist Ellen Gallagher, and I was totally drawn to her beautiful work. She imagines a black Atlantis populated by the babies of pregnant women who were thrown overboard because they were no longer economically valuable on the Middle Passage. This work is incredibly beautiful, as you can see, as well as a really interesting concept, because these babies, in Gallagher's imagination, formed a civilization underwater. Gallagher is bearing witness to the horrors of the transatlantic slave trade, and especially the Middle Passage. And this painting by a Dutch artist, she basically uses in the show to say, this happened, this is real, it's a document. Also looking back to the past and reinterpreting it on that top floor next to Ellen Gallagher is some new works by Chris Ofili, who takes the Odyssey myth and infuses it with Caribbean sensibility and visual imagery. Artist Cauleen Smith provides a multidisciplinary piece of video work and installation work as well. I actually was really drawn to her Lona library, a set of 30 small drawings of books that have inspired her practice, placed along a wall, and they'd certainly made me think. Cora Walker's and Prince McVeigh and the Turner Blasphemies is a chilling piece of video art which refers to the Oklahoma bomber Timothy McVeigh and also to the Turner Diaries, which is seen as like a white supremacist Bible. This work imagines or reimagines McVeigh as a hero, and works are carried out against black people with impunity. It's an absolutely chilling end to the show.
Wow, I'm really buzzing having come out of the Hayward Gallery and in the Black Fantastic. In terms of the way that the show's curated, this is really 11 mini shows within one themed exhibition. So you're taken from artist to artist, as you hopefully saw in the highlights, and it's a really interesting way of being immersed into different artistic worlds. This was actually tried in post-war modern as well at the Barbican, which I enjoyed. So I enjoyed that approach. The second thing that really struck me was the diversity of form. Within this show, you'll see video art, painting, you'll also see sculpture and installation art, amongst others as well. And because of the diversity of the art, you won't love every single artist, and some of you will appreciate the aesthetic of some and not others, and that's certainly what I found. But what was really interesting was the way that this reimagining of blackness, moving away from the stereotypes that are often perpetrated through art, meant that the show had a really strong, unified theme, and I absolutely loved that about it. Some of the art looked back to the past, whether it's Chris Ofili looking back to the Homer and the Odyssey, or looking back to East African mythology. And some of it very much looked to the future, kind of imagining a post-apocalyptic future, or a more positive one as well. So would I recommend this show overall? Absolutely I would. I think for £13.50 it is an excellent opportunity to see such a brilliant range of fantastic art. And I have to say, I'm so glad that the UK art scene is waking up to diversity. We've actually had a great run of shows since 2019 with Faith Ringgold at the Serpentine, Frank Bowling at Tate Britain, Labena Hamid at Tate Modern, Supratet Biswas, which I did a review on at Kettle's Yard in Cambridge. The list goes on. And this is nothing to do with being woke. This is all to do with enjoying a much, much bigger and deeper range of art than the British art scene was enjoying before. So I would really recommend coming to this show. I can pretty much promise, unless you're an absolute art freak, you will be introduced to artists you've never seen before, or work you've never seen, as well as some dear old friends as well. I would give this 9 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed this show. It's on until the 18th of September. £13.50 is good value. I was in there for well over an hour. And as I say, you almost get like 11 little mini exhibitions. So do come along to this show. Do subscribe to the art vlog and hit that notification bell for many upcoming reviews over the next few weeks. As summer hits, and you might actually weirdly want to get into the cool air-conditioned haven of a gallery. Do take care of yourselves and go out there and explore the wonderful UK art scene.